Hey everybody, Steven here, and for today's video I'm going to talk about why I stopped teaching kettlebell movements, specifically things like the kettlebell swing. And it really has nothing to do with the movements themselves. I love the kettlebell, I love the movements. It's just I realized I didn't know what I was doing as a coach, so I stopped teaching those about 4 or 5 years ago. And I knew I was just doing the tool itself a disservice, and I'm not Russian kettlebell certified, the RKC. I'm not Strongfirst certified. I'm a huge fan of Pavel, which is one of the guys that's credited with bringing the kettlebell over to America. He's created the RKC and then branched off and created Strongfirst. I've seen other people use them, like Onnit has their kettlebell specialist certification, and a couple other people have certifications for it. But for me, the gold standard is really the RKC and Strongfirst. But I just knew I wasn't teaching them right. I mean, you look at these top level guys within the RKC and Strongfirst and their explanation of how they're teaching the movement and the swing and the build-ups to it and all that other stuff. I knew I wasn't in a position to teach it right, and I was putting my clients at risk. So because of that, I just stopped teaching them. Now, I have a client, and I've actually had some videos done with her on my channel here. Her name is Charlotte Simpson, and phenomenal success story. Went from 269 pounds to 138. I mean, she has a whole bunch of different injuries she's had over the years, and she actually got her RKC certification. So she went from being a client to now she's a peer, and we do trade out now where she's teaching me kettlebells. And I have a bunch of other friends that are RKC or Strongfirst certified, and I've had them show me stuff over the years. I've done workshops with like Dustin Roberto, who's one of the head trainers over at Strongfirst, who happens to live here in Oklahoma, where I'm at right now. I've taken the workshops, done all that other stuff, but I'm still not at the level that I want to be in order to teach them. Not that I'm 100% you have to be certified in order to teach people, but I think there's such a huge component that people end up missing out when they don't go through that process. I'm having my friend Charlotte, though, really teach me from the ground up every single tidbit, just like she was taught, just like they run you through with the RKC, and building that up. And at some point I might teach them if I feel comfortable enough, and really if I get the approval from my fellow trainers that are RKC or Strongfirst certified, and they're like, you know what, you're at a level where you could teach basic movements, right? I'm not going highly technical or anything like that, but like I said, I want to be in a position where they're saying, hey, all right, you're not going to hurt anybody if you go do that, right? So working on the swings myself first. I think you very much need to own the movement that you're asking your clients to do, right, before you teach them how to do it. So working on that, I've been doing that now for, man, since last summer. I've really been focusing on them, so I don't know, 6-7 months now. Still not a ton of time. I'm still trying to nail down the swing. It's just, when you look at it and you break it down, it's such a highly complex movement with each part that you're wanting to sync up, keeping everything engaged, how you're breathing, all that stuff. Because it's complicated, nothing irks me more than seeing, especially on like social media, where you're seeing somebody do a swing, and I saw somebody at the gym the other day, and I've done a video about this as well, where they're slinging and they're throwing their body into like overextend, and they're just throwing the kettlebell up in the air, and it just looks so bad on their back. Because a trainer didn't know what the hell they were doing. They saw somebody else try to teach the swing, which I saw who they were trying to mimic, and funny thing is that person was teaching it wrong also. And we're very much in a culture right now in terms of the fitness industry where I watch something online, I watch a quick 1-minute Instagram video, and now I'm going to go teach that thing. And movement, if we're going to use a tool, is going to be more complicated than that when you're dealing with weight. You want to roll on the ground and do some of the Ido Portal method, even though I think you need to go train under his system in order to fully understand what he's doing. But if you want to do that, or MoveNat, or natural movement, or parkour, or whatever that may be, and you're not going to put yourself at a high risk with those movements, right? Even a MoveNat, I'm not going to say, hey, go climb a tree, or parkour, jump building to building, and do all those other things. If you want to do low level, low impact movements and kind of explore it on your own for a while, that's one thing. versus, hey, I am going to go now jump building to building, or I am going to go try to scale this wall, or I'm going to try to deadlift this extreme amount of weight, and I haven't gone through those proper channels to learn how to safely do it. And that's the big thing here. I want to learn how to safely do these movements where we're not just compromised in our body because we think we have to do this, or we really want to do it but we want to skip ahead, right? I mean, you got to go through that process. You got to kind of earn those movements, is what I tell a lot of my clients, right? You don't just get to willy-nilly go in there and just start throwing stuff around and like, all right, I got it, let's move on. When it comes to these complex movements, right? So that's really why I've stopped. The hope is in a couple years to come back. I still use the kettlebell. We still do farmer's carries and suitcase carries and goblet squats and more basic things. But in terms of like a swing or a Turkish get-up or something like that, like I said, where you're dealing with something that's got a lot of stages to it, that's very complex, that has a lot of cues to it, I've backed off. And like I said, I did that about 4 or 5 years ago. And the hope is to slowly integrate all that stuff back. I've really gone more on the natural movement side over the last couple of years because I wanted to focus and create that as the base with the medical exercise. Now I'm switching more back into strength training and incorporating these with it. The big thing that I've seen that I really like, and it's what I'm slowly morphing my programming over to, is if I do need a corrective, that's cool, but you don't want to stay in. My chiropractor, one of his mentors says it, which is what is it? It's like corrective purgatory, like where you're basically always doing correctives, like you're always hurt. You don't want to deal with that, right? But the corrective is there for a reason if you need it. But to do the corrective and then do strength training movements, right? After that, and actually combine that. Now, if they're in a phase where, hey, we really just need to focus on the correctives for 2 to 4 weeks, let's go there, and then you start integrating that strength, and then it becomes one of those things like, all right, we need to do this because we know your scapula wings, right? Both scapula are winging right now. Let's do these handful of different movements or positions where we're going to train the body to not do that. But then after that, hey, let's go lift something, right? Let's do some carries. Let's do some deadlifts. Let's do some goblet squats. Let's do some of these strength compound-based movements to still get that strength side. I think that's something that a lot of people are overlooking now because we're just going so high end towards the correctives that we're missing out on just fundamental strength training, right? On the flip side, I know people that lift super duper heavy and they never go use that strength, like for anything. Like they're not going out and hiking and going on walks out in nature or climbing trees or anything that's outside that uses your body in a more natural based movement sense, right? You can go deadlift rocks or whatever. Like I said, go climb a tree, go do something with your body instead of just accumulating all this strength and then you sit at a desk all day, right? Like I said, we're actually at my Vera desk. That's why I'm actually sitting on I have a little stool thing that I sit on here to get me in a flat-footed squat position here, and then I'll mess around on the computer. I'll actually ditch this as well, and I'll just sit on the ground. I'll get into a figure 4. I'll put my legs out here so I can be upright and stretch. So incorporating that throughout my day as well. And like I said, I don't want to just do this though and then just negate that strength training side. So it's just this fine balance. And that's really what I'm looking for with the kettlebells, when I can find that fine balance with what I know skill-wise with that kettlebell and I feel comfortable enough to teach it. Then I'm going to come back to teaching that to my clients. But it might be a while. It might be a couple years. I mean, I got to put in the time. I was training before and looking back on that when I was in the first couple years of training. And I see this going on a lot in the industry where you're trying to just do things you see other people do, or you're trying to be impressive to the client, or you're trying to force results really, really quick. As you get further along, you start noticing like, hey, a lot of this is skill-based. You need to have that foundation. You're not going to rush somebody's progress because you want to just force them into it. A lot of these things, when they're coming to you, it just takes time. And you have to put in that time and that effort. So backed off right now. The hope is to come back. I want to know what you guys think, though. If you are teaching kettlebells, or if you train under somebody that's RKC or Strongfirst, or if you don't use it, why you don't use it. I personally think it's a very valuable tool, but like I said, I want to hear from you guys. So let me know in the comment section your thoughts on the kettlebell, what you're using it for. If you do train underneath somebody, for just watching videos, and why maybe that's okay for you to do, right? This is just my point of view. So if you guys have something that's kind of going against that, I want to hear that opposite side to it, right? So if you guys like the video, hit the like button for me. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And thank you so much for watching.